everyone, and welcome to another webcast of Alexandra Mayers Live. It is me once more, Alexandra, here webcasting to all of you from the comfort of home. I will put the Google Hangout link up a little bit later. And of course, if you do want to join the Hangout, you do have to be a follower already of my Twitter account, Monica Foster, from my days long ago as an adult entertainer. Who am I fooling? You all know damn well those days are probably going to come back because everything is circular, or cyclical rather. But you have to be following that account in order to jump into the Google Hangout. I am not currently accepting new followers to my Monica Foster account, and I'm going to tell you why. The reason is I feel the only people who are deserving to be here on this webcast with me are people who have been with me down the road. And sometimes that can mean both friends and foes. Today's chat is going to be all about Wesley Snipes because I'm so excited that Wesley Snipes is on Twitter now. Everyone follow his Twitter because that man posts some really insightful, interesting, spiritual, profound types of tweets. I really like that. And, you know, I hadn't really thought about Wesley Snipes in a while. And I didn't even know he was on Twitter, but what was it that prompted me to think about him recently?
Romeo.
Are you serious?
No. And you're funny.
And you're very funny as well.
You're funny and you're fine.
Oh, thank you so much.
And you got a tag hanging in your dress.
Wonder what happened to some of my teen crushes. So, you know, I go on Twitter and, you know, type in everyone I was into, and bam, Wesley Snipes is active on Twitter. I was like, wow. And I just kind of fell in love with him all over again. I mean, the reason I fell in love with Wesley Snipes as a teenager was he was just the most beautiful man I'd ever seen. You know, where I grew up in Spring, Texas, it, for whatever reason, and this is something that my mom and I go back and forth on to this day, because I understand that she and my dad wanted the best for their children, but let me just tell y'all, if you're African American or any ethnicity, do not raise your child in an environment where they have no peers that are of their ethnicity. Because when you do that, and even if you have the best intentions, I know my parents just wanted, you know, my sibling and I to have the best education and whatnot, but Black girl in an all-white neighborhood did a number on my self-esteem. It really did. And, you know, who's to say that I wouldn't have had self-esteem issues in an all-Black neighborhood too? But considering that the self-esteem issues that I did have were affiliated directly with my skin color, it just set me on a path in life that I think would have been, I think that whole trajectory that I was on through my early 20s and earlier 30s would have been completely different had I been raised in an environment with that, at least a more mixed environment, you know, with a lot of different ethnicities, but that just wasn't the case. I was the only Black girl in my entire school up until, at least that I was aware of, up until I think third grade. Then there was another girl. Her name was Shayla. She was the only other Black girl, but she didn't want to be my friend. My best friend at one point was a Chinese girl. She was the only Chinese girl, ironically, at the school. And her name was Alexandra also, which is kind of weird. What was her name? I'm not going to say her last name, but I just remembered. And you know what happened to her? Another Asian girl, I don't know of what Asian heritage she was. Her name was Amy, came to the school and did not want to be the Chinese Alexandra's friend, but she wanted to be my friend. You know, very, very weird, very weird. But anyway, getting back to Wesley Snipes. Well, I don't want to get back to Wesley Snipes yet. I want to get back to me. That's why it's called Alexandra Mayers Live. But anyway, I just thought the trajectory that my life has been on would be completely different had I been raised in a different environment with far more blacks. I really think so. But I am going to go back to Wesley Snipes because that's where he comes in. So I'm a teenager standing in the grocery store line with my mom, and you know how they have the tabloids and everything. Lo and behold, I see Wesley Snipes for the first time, and I couldn't take my eyes off his face. I just thought to myself, that is the man for me. That is who I want. And I did meet a Wesley Snipes type when I lived in California. And the only reason that I didn't pursue him was because I was already in what I thought was a relationship with a guy by the name of Matt Holder. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more too later. But Wesley Snipes is just amazing to me. Everything about him, from his acting ability to his things he's taken a stand on. I just really, really like that man a lot. I really do. And, you know, I printed out a list of movies that he's been in over the years. Seeing how many movies he's been in that have to do with the issue of race, when you really think about it. I mean, most of you probably know him from the movie Blade. And I mean, oh, what a cool movie that was when you really think about it. Oh my gosh, Blade. You know, just everything that movie is about. The storyline, that storyline I actually relate to very, very much so. But he's just Black Superman. That's who he is. He's just amazing. Tonight's going to be all about Wesley Snipes. When I open the chat, that's what we're going to talk about today, because he's been in the news lately, you know, and he was in the news in regards to supposedly saying something negative about Kanye West. But, you know, I've been following him on Twitter, and I didn't see him say one damn negative thing about Kanye West. It's a literal instance that we're seeing of a bit of divide and conquer strategy when it comes to Black unity. And I don't blame that on any specific group of people, but it just seems like every time, you know, you have a couple of dark-skinned brothers really coming up and, you know, becoming super popular, it's like the media tries to pit them against each other. And you don't really see that so much when it comes to whites. You don't see that with like George Clooney and Brad Pitt. They're like best friends, or at least portrayed to be. So, you know, why can't that be the same for Wesley Snipes and Kanye West? And maybe that's how it's going to end up working out anyway. But the only thing I would say that Wesley brought attention to that could be viewed as a negative would be how he said, "All right, everyone, stop paying attention to Kanye West's hair." Because from what I saw, Kanye West decided to bleach his hair blonde to go, before he made an appearance, to have a sit down with the fraud known as Trump. But at least he's a fraud in my opinion. But I think I understand what Kanye was doing as an artist. And I struggle in regards to Kanye West. I struggle with him because I really, I get it with him. I do get it. But I just think that he might need to explain a little bit, or at least have Kim do the explaining for him. But I think he did his hair blonde because by him going and having to sit down with Trump, maybe in a snide sort of way, he was saying to America, okay, Trump is open to talk to just about anybody, but keep in mind that, you do need to be a blonde for him to listen to you. Maybe that's what he was saying. Maybe not. I guess I'll talk about Blade because I really, really liked him in Blade. I felt like that whole storyline, even though it was, vampires, he's been in other movies that I think are far more profound than Blade, but just that whole storyline kind of appealed to me because I like the character of Blade. It's like a metaphor for that internal battle that you have within yourself. There was a part of who Blade was that he constantly was trying to stifle, constantly trying to just hold back, and that guy who rescues Blade, Whistler, the one who raised him, I think he did think that it was in Blade's best interest to hold himself back as he's battling the vampires, because that vampire part, that darkness within him, it's that darkness can be hard to control if you're not strong enough to handle that dark power. But what I thought was cool about the Blade movie was that it's that darkness that helped him beat his enemies in the end. And that's a really good metaphor for life, in my opinion. Sometimes it's what we hate about ourselves the most that we wind up trying to seek out in the world as enemies. Let me just go through some of the movies that he's been in that I thought were interesting. White Men Can't Jump. I kind of feel like there is a conspiracy against Wesley Snipes. I really do. And I think it has to do, I think he didn't realize it at first, but I think what happened with Wesley Snipes was that he realized how much he'd been used in some of his earlier roles, and he got mad, and I think that's probably what got him into the tax issue and everything later. But White Men Can't Jump, that was an interesting movie that he was in when I think about it, because it dealt with the issue of race and everything. Same with Jungle Fever. I think that there is a conspiracy. I think he made too many enemies, too many white enemies over the years. That's what I think happened to Wesley Snipes. That's why as an actor or actress, you got to be really careful about the roles that you take, because the average mind watches a movie and believes what they see in that movie. I think when Wesley Snipes was in that movie Jungle Fever, I think he pissed the fuck off a lot of white dudes. And then when he decided to you know, and I think that because of other roles that he was cast in, he started realizing some things, and I think that you know, that whole move with, oh, my camera went off, but that whole move with him trying to make that Amun-Ra, Temple of Amun-Ra thing, I think when that happened, scared the government to death, because you have to keep in mind that so much of the United States government is white men. And they're just people, just like everybody else. And I think that when they saw him making some political moves, they started thinking to themselves, oh shit. Because they were remembering what happened with Jungle Fever. I mean, I got to make sure I'm getting this right, because I think he played the starring role in that movie. Let me see. Because if he did, he probably turned on a shitload of white women, and that would have so pissed off so many white men. Oh my God. Yeah, he did. He sure did. But let me make sure. Oh, he sure did. Yeah, because that's what pisses off white people the most who are racist. When they see an interracial relationship. So, I think that's why that whole tax thing really happened. Because there's so many people scamming the government that it's ridiculous. You know, why was Wesley Snipes singled out? Jungle Fever. That's what I think. Poor Wesley. But good for him. It's weird, but see, that's the thing. That's what you got to be careful about, because sometimes I think about the porn that I was in, and I bet there's a lot of racist white women who don't like me. I bet so. Let me think. How many interracial scenes did I do in total? I'm not sure. I'll think about that at another time. I'll make a list. Actually, there already is a list, so someone else could figure that out. But, race is a weird thing. It really is. I wonder what it all really means. And I do wonder why we even have that in this dimension. You know? Like, what is it all about, really? Have different ethnicities. Why do we have what we call race? And then, you know, why do we as human beings not even categorize ourselves properly when it comes to race? It's because the whole thing is a sham. It just is. The whole thing is a sham. Really is. It's so easy to be racist too. Race is a big moneymaker. I wonder what's a bigger moneymaker, racism or porn? I think racism. I think so. Jungle Fever.